But I'm super stoked to be with you all today on this beautiful Monday, August, what is it, the 12th? Yeah, August 12th. I actually just want to share a couple things with you guys, and then I want to open it up for questions and comments, any concerns you have, some wins that you want to share, whatever that might be. But I want to share with you guys just a couple of things. I want to share a couple of things from what I shared at our area manager retreat. I'm not going to go into that full training because I quite honestly don't remember all of what I said at that retreat. I have notes, but like not all of it's still there in my head. Isn't that crazy? So, but there were a couple of things I wanted to hit on that I think are crucial and key to how we operate every month in our business and how we operate from what our goals are. So if you go back to August 1st and you think back to like, what's the goal that you wrote down for this month? I bet you it had a lot to do with a bonus that's going to get doubled. And hopefully it had to do with even hitting a broader goal than just a bonus to get doubled. So I want to talk about what kind of happens at this time of the month to where if you haven't seen what you wanted to see so far, what I start to see happen in people's head is they start to rework their goal instead of rework their activity. So my challenge to all of us, if we want to be great entrepreneurs and grow a big fat business, is we learn to alter our activity instead of our goal. So never do you want to bring it back down. Like honestly guys, my goal on my goal card right now, on my goal card that I read every day, oh, it says September 30th. We still got time. It says September 30th, we will break 1 million in sales and sponsor 1,200 new PCs and consultants. So we still got time. You do it. But I thought it said August. It says September. So I never want to change my goal. I want to see what I can personally do to up the ante. So I'm going to show you guys something. So you see these shoes? Okay. There's a story behind these super cute shoes. Aren't they adorable? They actually used to belong to Terry Fisher. And we happened to wear the same size shoe. Isn't that crazy? She's a lot shorter than me and she has so many cute shoes. So it's a win for me because she's always available, always ready to share her shoes. And we love it. But she had these on one of our trips. And I was just trying to figure out what I was going to wear with the outfit. She goes, wear these. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I will wear those. And you know what she did? She gave them to me. She goes, you can just keep them. And so I have worn the heck out of these shoes. You can see them in a whole bunch of different pictures of mine because I wear them with anything that's like black or whatever. But I wanted to show these shoes because I want you to look at the heel. And, you know, I don't normally run in these shoes, just so you guys know. But I know several of you are runners and maybe you've done a half a marathon and you've done or maybe a full marathon, or you just like to run a mile around the block. Even this morning, I went out on a walk, and I like to speed walk. Not like one of those crazy ones like that, but I do like to walk fast. Well, I never wear these. I wear tennis shoes. I wear shoes that were made for either running or walking, because otherwise I'm going to hurt myself and get really hurt. But I want you guys to know that a lot of times in this business, we try to build our business based off of old mindsets. We try to build our business based off of something that we saw somebody do, or maybe we thought we had that skill set already. When I joined Arbonne 15.5 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about building a business in network marketing. And I want to preface this. Maybe you've done another company. Maybe you've built a business in another network marketing company. It's still not Arbonne. And so I want to encourage you all to have the mindset that no matter what, I'm learning something new and I'm willing to be coachable. But I want you to see this visual, because being uncoachable, like for example, trying to run your business based off of an old mindset and not a coachable mindset, is like trying to run 3 or 5 miles in these shoes instead of tennis shoes. And it sounds crazy when I put it to you like that, but guys, it's what most people do. It is what most people do. The only thing that I can explain why some people grow fast in this business is because they come into Arbonne when they sign up with tennis shoes on, laced, and ready to go. The folks who might struggle a little bit is because they come in and they forgot to put their tennis shoes on and they're trying to run their race in these shoes right here. Now, don't get me wrong. We have lots of events where you can wear cute shoes like this. But for the most part, I want to encourage all of you today that today is the day that you put tennis shoes on instead of those, and you decide, I'm coachable and I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to grow no matter what. Because that's how I was when I joined. As crazy as this business seemed, I attached myself to Carlita. Wherever she was, I was. I didn't care if I showed up without somebody at a meeting. I never, ever, ever skipped a meeting, you guys. The only reason why you might see me not attend a meeting is because if I happen to be on an airplane. But I never have ever skipped a meeting just because I'm like, well, I already know what they're gonna say. That's dangerous. We go and we attend things, we get on calls because it's how we grow. But it also shows we have that heart. And so that's hopefully a visual that will help you. But I want to kind of give you a breakdown of what it looks like to be, to think like an entrepreneur versus an employee. Most of us have been employees our life. And even if you're an entrepreneur and that you own your own business, like let's say you're a hairstylist, a nail tech, or something like that, that's still treating, if you don't show up for work, you don't get paid, right? An entrepreneur, we're building towards entrepreneurship in the sense of business ownership, that we get paid while we sleep, we get paid while we eat, we get paid if we're out at our kids' birthday party, we can get paid 24/7. That's what we're looking to do, whether we're present or not. That's the kind of business that we're looking to grow. But there has to be a shift. Again, remember that the shoe analogy. We have to shift from trying to run in those shoes to running in tennis shoes. So an employee has zero ownership, guys. An employee does not own their business, so they have zero ownership. They don't need to make any decisions in that. They also don't have to plan for the ownership of the company. They don't have to plan to lead. And they also most of the time lead with fear, lead with this idea that if I don't perform or don't show the right thing, I'm gonna get fired. And they will, in the Arbonne mindset, a person who tries to build a business with an employee mindset waits till they have a team. I'll grow or I'll decide to step in when I see the team that will take me to region, or I'll step in when I see the team that will take me to nation, area, etc. An entrepreneur says, I'm going, and even though I have zero prospects right now, I will be a regional vice president by the end of this year. That's what entrepreneurs do, is we throw vision out there and we run after it. So here's a few things that are the positives of an entrepreneur mindset. An entrepreneur owns it. They own, hey, this is my business. I'm the CEO of my company, and nobody gets to decide what happens to that, right? They have healthy habits. Entrepreneurs know that if they work on their business every single day, they're going to see huge results in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And an employee mindset says, I'll work Arbonne a little bit today, and then I'm going to take 5 days off because I really don't feel like working Arbonne. An entrepreneur mindset works Arbonne whether you feel like it or not. Another thing an entrepreneur knows is that when they start something, that it might take a couple of years to really establish a great, decent income, but they're willing to do it. They're willing to work for pennies. I think about my dad. My dad started his business. He had already been successful in corporate America, but he decided to branch off at like 45 and start his own business in the travel industry. He's an event planner, travel, still working. He's almost 79. He'll never retire. But he has 6,000 clients plus all over the world. He told me it took about 5 years to build that base to actually get paid decent money. And now he's wildly successful at it, but it took time. And so that's why he knew as an entrepreneur, he's like, I knew it was going to take time. Another thing that I want to challenge all of you guys to do, and I challenge the area managers to do this as well, and this really should start at the consultant level, is have a leadership budget. So whether you take your consultant cash bonus or part of it, $50 to $100 a month, put it aside, put it in a budget so that when things like Impact, GTC registration is going to pop up on October 1st, and we are predicting an early sellout this year. So when those things pop up, you're not struggling. You're not struggling to invest that $200 to get your spot secured at GTC. Does that make sense? Have a leadership budget. So when I pop up a new book that I suggest, which my son suggested this one, it's an amazing book called I'm Possible. If you see something that I pop on my story, you're like, oh, done, bought it, because you have a leadership budget. You are investing in you. The really crazy cool thing about this business is we don't have to get into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to build it, but we do need to invest in us. We need to invest in us when it comes to retreats, Impact, and GTC. So if you have not yet registered for an Impact, and guys, I was just talking to Whitney Haynes, one of the Impacts she's attending is a 7-hour drive. So if you are within 8 hours of driving to an Impact, I suggest you register for Impact, get a carload of people to ride with you like she is, and get your butt there. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but it's just something that's going to be really important. And here, if you're in Central California, we're so fortunate because we get to choose between two. Long Beach is like 3.5 hours, and Sacramento is like 2 hours and 45 minutes, depending on how fast you drive. I mentioned already being coachable. This is how an entrepreneur leads. They lead with an open hand. And so when we lead with fear or with, what if they quit? Gosh, what if she quits? What if he quits? What if they don't do it? That's leading with fear and scarcity. So when we lead with an open hand, we lead with love. I'm like, hey, she's right there in my hand. I'm teaching and training her how to do this, but you know what? If she decides this isn't for her, it's A-okay. If I do this and I have white knuckles, then I'm worried about me and how her business impacts me instead of how it can be a blessing to her or him. Does that make sense? You want to lead like this. Guys, I learned this the hard way, because when we lead like this and somebody quits on us, we get all like crazy. And Cecilia Stoll said this, so many leaders said this at our Air Manager retreat, you know, we're not going to take credit for someone's success. Why should we take credit for when they quit? Right? It's a heavy one. So we lead with an open hand. And the last thing I want to mention on that is an entrepreneur surrounds himself with success. You guys are already on the right track because you're huddling with us to learn about things that are going to help us grow as leaders. We got to surround ourselves with success. How do I do that? Well, the different people that I allow myself to hang out with, but also, guys, I listen to podcasts every day. So when I'm listening to like a John Maxwell podcast, I'm totally sitting across the table from John Maxwell. At least that's how I see it. When I'm listening to Rachel Hollis rock out one of her trainings, I'm like, hey, Rachel, good to see you. It's so good we can hang out together for lunch. You guys, surround yourself with success. We have it easily at our fingertips. It's amazing. And then, again, I want to challenge you guys just to say yes to your business every day, because that is what we do as entrepreneurs. One last thing I want to say before I move on and open this call up. Don't try to protect your kids from this business or your family. I might step on a few toes, but I see this happen often, is people are scared to do what they need to do in this business. Like maybe your kids are your why. Like maybe like your kids, your grandkids, you're like determined you want to be a more present parent or grandparent, right? But you hate the idea of taking any time away from them to go and build this. And I want you guys to know that if you lead with that kind of a mindset, you're actually hurting your kids. You could sit down and talk with all 4 of my children, and they're going to give you an incredibly positive point of view of network marketing. I'm not perfect, and my business has not been perfect, but what they watch was they watch their mom step out in faith and face her fears, and those types of characteristics will impact your kids' life forever. Like it will impact them for generations. And so I want to encourage you from day one, I got my kids involved. So Benny was 6, Nathan was 7, Samantha was 9 or 10, Caleb was 11, I think, when I joined Arbonne. I involved my kids. So back then we did foot spas all the time. Guess who cleaned my buckets? My kids cleaned my buckets. I paid them to clean my buckets. I paid them to clean my towels and fold them. I got them involved in the family business. We used to, we had to deliver products back then because they all came to us, and we would put stickers on every single one. So Samantha would do my stickers one day, and they would help me pack up my prospecting packets, but I got them involved. I love that Nikki Martinez shared that her vision board yesterday for what her and her entire family did on the vision board. They made one big vision board for their entire family, and she let her kids put the things that they're dreaming about on there as well. That's getting your kids involved. Okay, guys, what are we going to do when I reach area manager? Let's take a fun day trip. You guys get to each vote, and we'll put that in a jar, and we'll pick one out. When we reach regional vice president, we're going to take a weekend trip, and each of you get to put your favorite weekend trip. And then national vice president, Arbonne's going to take you all to Hawaii. So you get to go to Hawaii on Arbonne's dime, which is even better. But don't do what I say is protecting your kids from this business. I know too many people who don't involve their family, and those are the ones who get all kinds of backlash. And if Caleb were on this call, when I first moved to California in 2004, I had no prospects or activity in July. And this was 15 years ago. 15 years ago in August, I was able to get 5 parties on my books. And they were mostly booked by strangers, people I knew through someone. And one of the ones that I got booked was from this gal, Ali Sever, who is still in my business today on her way to growing her business to region. And she had hosted for me, and I knew she was gonna have a lot of people there. Carlita Nelson happened to be in town that weekend to do a Discover Arbonne for us. She was gonna help me, and the only date that Ali could put on her calendar was my son's 13th birthday, August 25th. And it was Caleb, my oldest son. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's his 13th birthday. Like, or was this 13th? Yeah, so he must have been 12 when I started. And I was just like, no, he was 12. It was his 12th birthday, so it wasn't his 13th, it was his 12th. But I was really struggling with this, you guys. But Caleb was my biggest cheerleader. Caleb, like when I would get so discouraged, it makes me cry, because he would be like, Mom, you're gonna get that white Mercedes. Like, we're gonna drive around in it, and we're gonna go get ice cream. And we would always deliver products, and we'd always go get ice cream when we delivered products, because we go all around town and then get ice cream. But he was one of my biggest cheerleaders, and I sat him down. I said, son, this is so important for my business, but how are you okay with me doing this? And he's like, yeah, Mom, that's awesome. You got to do it. And I could have apologized for my business to him, but I didn't, because he knew how bad we needed it. And I celebrated him like crazy. Of course, took him to lunch that day, and we had a big birthday party and everything. But guys, I met someone at that presentation who just started my business and was an area manager 3 months later, who was a key part in us going region 3 months later. 0 prospects before, and a team that took me to regional vice president 3 months later. But if you talk to Caleb about it today, it's not a horror on his list. So I want to encourage you guys that with your kids. Guys, entrepreneurs, they have vision, they have grit, they are willing to take a risk. Belief is a big thing, courage is huge, and they have a why. If these are some of the things that you feel like are missing in your life, reach out to your sponsor and say, how do I get more? And I can funnel you a ton of books. But here's the thing about books. We can read books all day long, but if we don't do something with what we read, then they're just words. We have to implement them and put them into action. So I want to say, as I open this up to others, I dare you guys. I dare you to take on these characteristics, because here's the cool thing about Arbonne. Everything in Arbonne, everything that it takes to be successful in Arbonne is a learned skill. There is not something I was born with that makes me different than any of you. We've all had struggles. We've all had crazy family things. We've all had issues that we've had to overcome. And we all have issues that we're facing on a daily basis. That's just life, guys. The difference is we need to be in charge of our life and not let our life control us. And that's where we can be different. So I dare you guys, if you have not yet implemented a power hour, I dare you to implement that today. And what does that look like? That's setting up an hour, whether you have to do 3 20-minute segments or 1 full 60-minute segment, that you do nothing but Arbonne. And I don't mean redecorating the office or turning your file cabinets inside out or making cute fun flyers or stories on social media. I mean asks. That for 1 hour straight, you do nothing but ask. You do nothing but invite folks to take a look at the business, take a look at our products, or have a few friends together for a get together. 1 hour. And if you do that for 1 hour every single day for the next 30 days, come back to me after 30 days and I dare you to not be sitting in a different place in your business. You will. But one of the things that has to be implemented as well is changing our thought process. And again, guys, it's going from trying to run a marathon in these to running a marathon with shoes. Don't try to build this business thinking you can do it without changing your mindset. I'm a different Beth today than I was in 2004. I'm a different Beth today than I was 6 months ago. We want to always continually grow, and that's sometimes what is the missing link. If you feel like I haven't been able to get over the hump to get people to do this or this or that, a lot of times, guys, it's just mindset. It just boils down to mindset. And like we shared last week, it's just doing more. It might mean if your goal is to be a regional vice president by the end of the year, it's like throwing out way more seeds than you were. If you're like shooting for 5 reach outs a day, triple it to 15 reach outs a day. You could even up it to 20 reach outs a day, whatever you want to do, 20 invites a day. And don't let that overwhelm you. That's why I don't want you to get overwhelmed with that, but it just depends on what your goals are and what is possible. So I would love to open it up for questions and comments. Anybody, any questions?